How's it going, guys? And welcome back to the Q&A. Today we're joined with Mod Ash.
Hello.
Mod Matt K.
Hello.
Mod Ghost.
Hello.
And myself, Mod Archie. So we're shooting off scene today as we decided to take advantage of the nice summer weather, get out of the office, and take advantage of Mod Matt K's hospitality, actually. We're at his house.
Hello.
Much nicer sofa than the one we have at work. Much nicer.
Indeed.
Agreed.
I think it's a kind of cool idea. Start switching up every now and then. So
yes. You can sleep on this sofa as well. It's very comfy.
yeah. Should we get
I think
into
that
the Q&A
noise
then?
might be from the TV. We'll tweet out some pictures of what my living room looks like after this because it's quite entertaining.
Yep.
There we go.
This is a cool idea, actually. Should we get into the Q&A then? Are we good? Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. So first question is to address the server issues as of late.
Yes.
Trying to take care of that.
I've made a post on Reddit, which I'm sure most of you have watched. Basically, we banned a few DDoS accounts over the weekend, and they are attacking the servers. Pretty what we expected to happen. We'll keep doing it. We'll keep on top of it, and just have to bear with it. Our IT guys are working on more plans to get things working better. They put a huge amount of effort over the last 6 months, I think, isn't it? Since about November last year, making things much better. And yeah, they're going to keep going until it's all improved. Mm-hmm. So, Bonza.
Right, so it's basically retaliation attacks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So, first actual question. This one's from Snowy.
We can hit ourselves now. Oh dear.
And I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah.
All right. And he asks, could you have broadcasts go out on certain worlds to advertise when they're experiencing connection issues?
Well, we could.
Interesting idea.
There's no reason not to. However, these attacks last for less than a minute. So by the time we send a message out, it'll be over. So that'd be a bit late. And by the time, and if you're on that world, you probably know about it already. So there's very little point, really.
Yeah.
If you've been kicked offline, they're probably not getting the message.
Yes, indeed. There's that issue as well. Yeah. So, meh, can do. Doesn't seem worth it.
It's an interesting idea. We could maybe have like a separate Twitter account to maybe tweet out like when each world is experiencing difficulties. I don't know.
Or a status page of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be quite nice.
All right. And last one about the connection stuff. This one's from Lose to Noobs, who asks, when might we get to see PK worlds reverted back to being in the UK servers?
PK was obviously a target for people to DDoS them. We will move them back once the other data centers are all sorted out. Once that's all done, then we will start moving them back, but not until then.
Right.
Same with, what else have we moved?
30-minute
so
death
all
time,
PK was 30-minute death time and everything else as well. But we're not going to do that until everything is as it should be. And we've got even more protection than we currently have in, which is happening. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Death Alter asks, any updates on a new content dev / new positions at all?
Gosh, it might be talking the entire time, isn't it? Somebody else will answer this one, or shall I do it?
I think Mod Ghost can take this one.
Yeah, sure. I believe we've got someone that's been interviewed at the moment.
Yeah, we've interviewed 2 people. Yeah.
Okay, right, that's
Yeah.
good.
In fact, we've just given this question to the person who wasn't in the interview.
Yeah, I know. Thank you very much. I'm struggling on.
Yeah, so we've interviewed 2 people. Applications will be open for a little while longer, but hopefully we should have some news shortly, but want to get it filled as quickly as possible.
Awesome. All right. Lord Smoke asks, can Zaya have randomized mob resource and mini-boss spawns with rotating locations to encourage exploration? So thinking this is kind of similar to like Big Mo. We're making a random location every day. Similar idea, but with what's he said here? Resources, mini-bosses, like Shooting Star, mini-boss spawns.
Didn't people say they weren't too keen on random events and daily tasks and things like that?
You wouldn't necessarily call it a daily task. It would just be, rather than there being the place where all the mining rocks are, there's a lot of mining rocks that keep going round the world or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, they might also hate it if they want to go training and they can't find it, or they have to track it down first. But I do like the idea of giving more variety than the usual kind of just training areas.
Yeah.
I think the community have something to say on that. It seems to be no.
Oh, okay.
So I think that answers that one.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
All right. S44 asks, can we travel to any glider destination without having to go back to the Grand Tree, please?
Should be possible to do that. For what it's worth, the glider map that shows a little picture of a glider travelling across the world, that doesn't actually have variants for going from place to place without going to the Grand Tree. So Gareth would have to make a few more animations for that first.
I love animations.
Oh, marvellous.
Yeah.
Cool.
The Gliders always confuse me a bit. So you understand, grand trees, massive tree, you get onto a glider, you glide down to wherever you want to go, which I think is quite a wonderful thing to do.
Right.
That makes perfect sense, but how do they get back?
Gnomes are very clever. Gnomes are very
They've
clever
got
indeed.
secret copters that drag them up higher.
Yeah.
It's powered by Gnome Child.
Yes, that'll be it.
Enough said. All right. Jabroni asks, when might we get to see more chat quality of life features pulled? He's got a few here. One being toggle to hide the login/logout notifications. They do fade away, but I think this is also a request to wipe away the private messages and all
Are
that.
we pulling that right now?
Are we pulling that right now?
I can't remember. I suggested it would be one of the things we could be polling right now.
Okay.
Well, if we're not polling it right now, we'll poll it sometime.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
In the meantime, please go vote in that poll, and you can find out whether we're polling it or not, and say if you like it.
Yeah, we do have a couple questions regarding today's poll, but that's more Duel Arena stuff. We'll get to that in a minute. But anyways, his other option is off filter for the game tab. Currently, there's only all/filter, is it?
Yeah, turning off all those game messages will mean that in a lot of cases you're getting no response whatsoever when you click on things, because those messages are telling you why nothing's happening in a lot of cases. We can take them away, but it'll make the game feel very unresponsive when you click on things and you don't even get feedback to say that the click registered. You can't tell if it's lag or whether you're just not doing it right or if you haven't got the item you're supposed to have.
Right.
So we could. There is a reason we haven't.
Yeah, I can definitely see why we haven't done that yet.
Absolutely.
And his last option, chat will like this one, changing chat colors.
Now that would be a bit more useful at the moment. See, with resizable mode coming round the corner, and the option for making the chat box transparent, you can keep the beige one if you prefer it, which I think people often will for Old School, but you can make it transparent. It becomes quite important to have different chat colours, because black text on a transparent chat box, you're going to see it. So a colour changing menu might be quite handy around this point.
I'm seeing on the chat actually a lot of people saying no, and what I'm thinking is they don't want to see lots of different colours in the chat.
Right.
I'm assuming by what you're talking about, you're changing how they see all the different things coming in rather than what other people choose to display their colour as.
I'm talking about what you choose to see. Like at the moment, all your game messages mostly be black, and all your public chat be mostly blue. And for the resizable version, if you choose to have a transparent chat box, all the game messages will be white, and all the public chat will be a different shade of blue.
I think that'd make for a good first straw poll, actually, if that's possible.
Is it possible?
Yeah.
It is.
Cool. So we'll ask you guys the first straw poll. Would you like the ability to change the chat colors? This would only be personalized for you. You would just see them this color. Everybody else would still see the same color. Cool. So while we wait for that to appear in the chat box, we'll move on to this one from Luke, who asks, could the Skull Scepter receive an increased amount of teleports? Is that a possibility? It's currently, is it 6, the Skull Scepter?
Yeah, because you get it obviously by killing all the monsters in the stronghold security.
Yeah.
It drops stuff on there and then you put it together. But the items don't stack either, do they? The individual items. I'm trying to remember here. I think the individual items don't stack. But you say you've got to build it into 2 parts. No. Right, start again. It doesn't stack as a whole, but you've got to store it as 4 separate items if you want to have more than one in your bank, which takes up 4 bank slots.
Okay.
Which is the difficult thing about it, which is probably why they want more charges on it.
I haven't used a Skull Scepter since I was a noob, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So maybe one option would be to charge up your existing one with parts of the other one that you find if you keep going down there killing it.
Sounds good to me. As long as
Similar
you
to
have
the-
to. I think the idea is to try and make you go to every floor at least sometime to get all the different bits.
Yeah.
But
It's
we
just-
could remove some of the restrictions that you were describing.
Yeah, I do like that idea, similar to the Pharaoh Scepter that you can use, the, what is it, gold scarabs and whatever. So maybe something like that would be a possibility.
Yeah.
Also be a nice free-to-play update as well.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
Cool, all right. Avatar asks, will Resizable allow for a zoom feature?
I see Ronan is watching.
Ronan.
Is he
Jagus
watching on
Ronan.
his
He's,
holiday?
he's on holiday. I don't know what he's doing
Can we
online.
pull in-game burgundy trousers? That's a
Who goes on the internet when they're on holiday? That's what I want to know. I mean, who?
So if you're wondering, Rod Ronan's in the States right now,
Yeah,
overseas.
he's in a
and
state anyway.
He'll be joining us next Q&A. Is he
yes.
back?
No, one after. He's off next week as
one
well.
after.
But yeah, so Ronan, we decided to do it from my house this week.
We'll do your house next.
Yeah, we'll do your house next.
You don't have to be there for it. We can go there next week while you're away.
Yeah, we are.
Just real quick, we have the results back from that straw poll. Would you like the ability to change the colors in your chat? That's passing by 85%, so
Well, it's a fairly innocuous feature. It just means that if something's not clear for them, they can maybe improve it. So I'd expect reasonable support for it.
Cool. That being said, we did kind of accidentally jump over a question. So this one's from Avatar, who asks, will Resizable allow for a zoom-like feature that will give us a feature similar to being in first-person mode?
The thing about RuneScape's models is that they're not very high poly count, and they're not going to be very high poly count because, firstly, that's the old school appearance for you. Secondly, we really don't have the resources to remake every single model in the game with a higher poly count. So if you go and start zooming in on things, it starts looking pretty ropey very quickly. Now, Ian was showing off in a live stream the other week that he was able to change the zoom, which, well, that's great, might come in handy at some point. But just bear in mind, if you zoom out, you're going to see the edge of the map that's being loaded because the game was optimised not to show things it didn't need to. If you zoom out, you're going to see the edge. And if you zoom in, you're going to see really ugly things. But we could do it.
It also covers up a multitude of sins as well, because the amount of times I think, oh, that looks a bit bad, but then I check it out in game and just think, no, you actually can't see that little gaff that I made just there. So yeah,
you're not supposed to say these things.
Yeah, of course we are. We're allowed. It's behind the scenes essentially, isn't
absolutely,
it? So
absolutely.
We've just got to work with the software we've got. So yeah, not being able to zoom in is a great thing for me, to be honest. I'm a bit nervous about resizable. It's like, what would we say?
Regarding the first-person idea that was asked there, we've tried experimenting with something like that once when we were.
Sorry, Ash.
It's reading the chat, they're giving me grief for not giving him enough leg room.
I was going to say that.
Sorry. Right, carry on.
Yeah, sorry, continue, Ash. I didn't mean to interrupt.
We were experimenting with some way of doing first person to see whether we could make it work or not. And one of the things we discovered is that if the camera comes down, it starts seeing up a bit more than it used to. And the result of that is that you could see that the tops of buildings and the bottoms of buildings weren't properly lined up. We've apparently got away with it all this time simply because the camera's always pointing downwards. But it became a really big problem. You could see upwards if the camera came too low. And yeah, it gave you a kind of first-person effect, but it made the whole game look dreadful.
Okay. Also, when when I do like 3D modelling and other artists in the game industry in general, where you don't see a polygon, we'll do what's called Polygon Culling, where we just like get rid of it, and it's just like a waste of sort of information just having it there. So just get rid of it. So if you did zoom down, chances are a lot of things where you'd see the underside, it would just be completely transparent. You'd just be able to see through the sky. So if we had a sky, but you get what I mean, yeah.
Breaking all kind of lore here today. There's of course a sky in RuneScape.
There's a moon. It must be in something.
There's a sky in RuneScape. Okay. Scottio asks, could Pest Control get an MVP update to choose and highlight a certain player who contributed the most to that game? So we'd get maybe a small percentage of XP boost.
Quite like that idea.
Just one player?
I do like the idea of saying who they were and congratulating them, and whether or not they get something for it.
Drop a few extra points.
Poll the sky. Do you want to, should we poll the sky? I think we should poll the sky.
If the camera don't point up, then yeah, there's a sky now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's MVP and Pest Control idea.
I like that.
Yeah?
I do like that. I think that's nice.
Just one player though.
So what else do you have? You can maybe have the person. You can have a set of stats, couldn't you? So the person who's killed each individual monster. Because what, 6 or 7 monsters that spawn in there, isn't there? Around there. So you can have one for each monster. Who's killed that monster the most? One who's done the most damage to each individual portal, maybe, and then the overall MVP, and sort of have it so it's a bit more than just one person.
I do like the idea because it would obviously incentivize people to obviously just try harder. They wouldn't want to AFK. They wouldn't want to just sit around and do nothing. They'd be working really hard every game. Yeah. Trying to get that, even if it's just marginally, 40 XP more. They're going to work for it.
I mean, as the chat's saying, the top 3 MVPs, which is a lot more simpler than my idea. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, if that works, I think that's quite cool.
I think that's a really cool.
Have to remember that and do that. Ronan, remember that. Send us an
All right, cool. Swagmaster asks, can the Wilderness Sword get the ability to cut through every web in the wilderness without fail?
Well, I like that. Yeah, we should do that.
I like the idea of that.
All right. Awesome idea.
Yeah.
Cool. Ubnik asks, are you more focused on player retention, new player recruitment, or winning back past players? That's a good question.
That's quite interesting. What we most focused on, probably, it changes depending on what time of the year we're at. Because we know when most players come into the game, they come into game just before Christmas, they come into game in June as well. So they're the sort of two big areas where we have to be really focused on player acquisition and in particular win back. So people who have, everyone's played RuneScape, haven't they? So people who've played RuneScape coming back into the game. So that's when we focus on those two areas. This time of year when people aren't coming into game and we're seeing an increase in people leaving the game, and my hand's going all over the place. I'm thinking graphs while I do it, you're seeing data. So when we're seeing more people leaving the game, we then focus on retention. So imagine, imagine you've got two graphs. You've got one with players coming in.
That's the data.
Right, you've got one with players going out. Right, when the ones that players coming in is going up like that, that's when we start focusing to make that go as high as possible. When players are going out and doing that, that's when we're focusing on retention to make that go as low as possible. So hopefully they always stay like this.
I can see the data right now.
Yeah, I've got it in my mind, the actual spreadsheets that I covet on a daily basis.
All right, I'm sure they appreciate the presentation.
Yeah, if you like my data, you'll love my spreadsheets.
Yeah.
They are a work of art.
Dingwill asks, can the Kraken get an extra room at a one-time payment similar to what you're offering with the DKs?
Didn't we give them instanced Krakens?
Yes.
Yeah, so I thought.
That rather takes away the need for there to be another
I think
copy
he's
of the room
saying
so much.
instead of paying, 25 pay or something like that to get in the instance?
You do pay per entry to the instance, yeah.
And he's saying just a one-time fee instead of every single time you want to go
Okay,
back
that makes
in.
sense.
I'd rather like the ongoing cash sync, to be honest, even if it might not add up to what the huge fee would have been.
I think, of course, if you said yes to the Kraken, then you'd have to say yes to every other boss in RuneScape as well.
Yeah. I'm also inclined, based on what's going on with the poll at the moment, with the extra DK room, which
Isn't
I think was
passing
not
right now.
passing.
Yeah, it's like 72%.
Not to keep offering things like that unless this one gets through, because, if this one doesn't pass, it maybe isn't something we should keep plugging.
Yeah, absolutely. The chat doesn't seem overwhelmingly pleased about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, that answers that. Bobby asks, could we get a toggle to get the old kill messages back in PvP? He says he prefers the older messages, before the ones we have now, which are like, Mom, get the camera. I just killed blank. He just wants it to say the good old classic, you've defeated this guy or whatever.
I'm sure we can change that. He wants a toggle for it, does he?
Well, I imagine if we reverted it permanently, everybody would have a much bigger say.
I don't know. I mean, I suppose it is, should we toggle it, should we do it, is what it boils down to.
Okay. It's kind of one or the other then.
How did they get in there anyway? I don't remember that update.
Dan.
Ah.
So we'll see what the chat thinks of that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Do you prefer put a yes for I prefer the old kill messages, or a no for keeping them the way they are? All right, cool. We'll just leave. That's like a chat straw poll for you.
I think it was part of the Wilderness Rejuvenation project. I think is when they went in.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, no, it wasn't. Bounty Hunter was when they went in.
That'd be it.
Yeah, that was right. So I think they seem to like the old ones.
Seeing a lot of yeses. A fair amount of no's. This would
What's
be one to
IDC
look
there?
into then.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of yeses though.
There might be something to have for sticking the poll at some point, I guess.
It's not too long ago, really, is it, for it to have become part of the furniture as such? So
Bounty Hunter.
Bounty Hunter,
yeah, you can just revert that bit of text, I think.
Yeah.
And it's not too bad.
Changing
obviously,
text is easy. Heck, writing more messages is apparently very easy. That's where these ones came from.
The whole change in general is very minor, but it's a bigger deal to some, I suppose. Right?
It's actually quite important because it's the first time, really, we've going to poll removing content that we've put in ourselves, which is quite an interesting thing.
Well, I always said back in the day when we started from adding more content that we'd be very happy to run a similar poll to make it go away again.
Fair enough. All right. Speaking of which, actually not speaking of which at all, completely irrelevant. We're going to be showing an Abyssal Demon preview about halfway through the stream, so give or take 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So get yourselves ready for that. Don't want to go anywhere. Right, so let's go to the next question. This one's from Arman, who asks, could we have the feature to allow us to enter a bank pin anywhere in RuneScape?
I think the convenient way of doing that in the other RuneScape was, firstly, POH building mode you could turn on without being in a house. And if you did that, it let you enter your bank pin.
Okay.
And also, I recently got it from the money pouch, which I'm not sure would pass a poll for us. But I would like to let you go into building mode without being in a house, because it made so many things easier when you teleported into it.
Right.
We can
So I'd
actually
like
do it
that.
now anyway. So if you go to your bonds pouch, that will bring up your pin.
Ah,
yeah.
interesting
do that.
point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. The more you learn, that answers that.
There you go.
Cool. Ex Cassia asks, could temple trekking receive a revamp like it did in 2011?
You see, I looked at that actually because I was like, I had no idea what the revamp was, so I went and had a look. I thought it was probably sensible because you were going to ask the question. And it seems that what they did is they made it a lot simpler and added a levelling stat to the individual character,
NPC.
so you can actually level up the NPC and sort of break it down. Because I think you had a whole load of more people you could take through it, which can do if you want to do temple trekking. Depends how much they like temple trekking, and if they wanted that sort of mechanic, could we put it in a new game even better? And that's what it boils down to, I guess.
Or if we could bring more value back to temple trekking by putting more rewards in it. Not necessarily for completing the treks, but if we made more resources available during your treks, in the same way that nail beast nails might have a use, then that might bring more people to it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know how. I suppose we probably ought to ask the players at some point to find out what content they enjoy doing but don't actually do because they don't feel it's worthwhile. I think we need to probably do some sort of survey with them on that at some point.
So
Not quite sure how, but I think that's probably a good idea to do.
it's a big question.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Let's go to this one from Ex Commando, who asks, could we see a new extremely rare clue scroll tier, being the Master Clue Scroll? So we'd introduce elites. I mean, is there a step above?
If there were, there'd have to be a whole set of rewards to go with it.
Yeah.
And
That's going to be
it's
risky.
going to take a little bit of time to do, and also if they're going to be useful rewards, then they're going to be pretty powerful.
Right.
On the other hand, if they're just cosmetic, very, very rare things like, I don't know, something ridiculous.
You can think of something. Come on.
Camel hump for your back. No? Okay. Well, I've already got one.
Yes. Create
Yeah.
camel
Camel
dung
cape.
in a bucket for you. The players don't seem overly excited about that, but the thing we tried to do yesterday, which I think is probably what it's more suited to, is really hard clue scrolls, which are only available temporarily, and we could do them for special events. Maybe when Big Mo makes a return after this month is finished, maybe do something along those lines. I'm thinking in particular Movember.
Movember.
Oh yeah.
Movember.
No
Clue
beard.
scrolls, yeah, Movember. Do you have Movember in Canada? Or is it
Yes,
just
but
done?
you grow a beard and a mustache.
Yeah, we can just give him more facial hair, I think.
Yeah, but I think Movember coming in November is a good thing to do, and I think clue scrolls. We had a chat about that thing we wanted to. Oh, I'll tell them why not. We were talking about adding, I think it came from a player, didn't it? The sliding puzzles, make some sliding puzzles and stick them in the merch store for Movember as well, because I think that'd be really quite cool.
I'd
Once you get in game.
Personally take credit for that, but that's only because I saw the Oblivion comic where he suggested that. So
So I think that'd be quite a cool thing. But we could theme that whole entire month around clue scrolls and get Mo back again, and do something for charity as well. That'd be quite nice.
okay.
So that'd be nice things to do, wouldn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Espion asks, could we see the introduction of a high value currency item? This is the interesting question for the Q&A. So he's suggesting this platinum bar that's worth 100 mil. The price doesn't change, but it'd be used for extremely wealthy players to store cash without having to hoard valuable items. So if you ever get to the point where you pass max cash stack, you might go and buy some Elysians or what have you. This would be a different form of having currency. Your thoughts on this?
Got no problem with it. In fact, at one point we talked about using the not effigies, just some kind of statuette things that you got in the in PvP worlds. There's some talk about keeping those around as a way of holding wealth. Mind you, I could write you a special coin storage where you could just store beyond 2 billion.
Okay.
I wrote some code for that a long time ago, 2013 or thereabouts. And although I think we limited that one to a mere 200,000 or something like that, the code could have been used to let you store 2 trillion.
I see
Keep you
this.
busy for a while.
It's really only being one that people who have exceeded that 2 billion cash stack will be voting for, or would be voting for, I should say. RS3 has their rares, which are actually worth a lot of money, as well as the coin pouch. So this would basically be an alternative to that, I suppose.
Be interesting to see the jewels you'll get, wouldn't it? Jewels staking billions upon
cool.
billions.
Staking 3 platinum bars.
Yeah. That'd be quite amazing to see.
Right. Well, it's an interesting idea. I don't think the chat's so much for this exact idea, but the principle.
You know, if we gave them a platinum bar and it happened to look suspiciously like a silver bar, we'd be in for an interesting time while trading.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, they also use spirit shards. That's a good point.
Yeah. I think the issue, I guess, is allowing people to store more wealth on their account, which is easily transferable. Because if Weath was here, he's probably having the kittens right now thinking that's a really bad idea because it allows real world trading gets worse. I don't know if it does or not. We probably want to have a chat with him first to make sure that it isn't going to make anything dangerous happen.
Okay.
Although we could track it. We'll shut up now. Sorry.
It's going for a while.
Yeah.
We'll do one more question, then we'll show you guys a cool preview of the new Abyssal Demon boss. Abyssal Sire, I should say. Whatever you want to call it.
Name, Chris.
All right. All right, McDoodle asks, will we ever see weapons that require GP to recharge? Similar to Chaotix, I imagine?
Similar to the Trident of the Seas, I think.
Yeah?
You give it coins, don't you?
Haven't used it.
I think you give it coins, which you replace with Zordra scales if you've got the Trident of the Swamp.
Okay.
So yeah, we certainly could, and it's not that far of what Barrows does.
So would this then be something similar to Chaotix then? Be a high-tiered, valuable weapon? It would have to be.
If we were releasing a weapon that people were going to be interested in, then it would have to be beneficial in some way compared to what's already around.
Now, we were spitballing ideas the other day, weren't we, about putting gems on weapons.
Yes, that was a cool idea.
And making them more efficient towards certain types of things. So, for example, you take your... many games have a similar thing. You take your gem, you put it onto your weapon, it makes it so that it is better at killing demons than other weapons. So you take that weapon to use it on killing demons, and the gem would fall out after a while, and you could replace it and use gold for someone to do it for you.
Quick, buy all the gems.
Yeah, buy all the gems. It's coming out next week. So that's something that could tie into that, and then because it's rather than having one weapon that's better for everything, it's better for a specific thing. So you have to start collecting specific weapons, but it keeps existing weapons still usable because it keeps them useful.
That's
so
a cool idea.
not using them, but like I say, we're just spitballing ideas the other day. But that's one of them we were talking about.
Definitely have to expand on that.
Yeah.
Definitely worth looking into. Cool. So we're going to switch over to the video now.
We're not going to switch over to the video just yet. We're just going to discuss it a little bit. I think. Just discuss the lore behind it.
You're in charge.
Sure.
But before we do that, I think we've got a very important issue to address, and that's the leg room.
Sorry, that's terrible, isn't it?
Kind of. Yeah, Ash has got it covered. I think I'll just cross a bit. There we go.
What you doing?
I took the seat.
Cool. Yeah, I'm not giving him enough
There we
leg
go.
room. I usually sit on here with kids because obviously I've got children. This is my house, so I sit on here with children. So I sit how I like, because there's not enough room for them. They can go sit somewhere else.
So this is Matt's territory here.
This is how he uses a sofa.
Yes.
Now we know.
Okay. So do you want to take us behind the lore?
Yeah, sure. Okay, the Abyssal Demons are essentially a part of a race called Chthonians. I think that's how you pronounce it. But the whole idea behind this boss is it essentially takes its victims and then weaves a hive out of their remains.
Ooh.
And that hive then becomes a living nexus in which it lives and feeds off continually. So like the Chthonians back in Zaros and the God Wars, when Zaros and Zamorak were at it, it's just become very bloated and big. It doesn't mean it's any less lethal though, because if you go in there, it will own you basically, and it will add you to the hive if it kills you.
That's a really cool story.
Yeah, so it's pretty dark, and the mechanics of this boss, I can't discuss it too much, but it will actually be able to plug itself into the environment by stabbing its feet into the floor, and then it'll be able to control the environment around you to attack you.
Oh, really?
So the two sort of like interact with each other.
Right.
So it'll be very cool. We can move to the video now though and discuss
That's a really cool idea.
Cool. So as you can see, he's very sort of rotund and disgusting looking. Something that really does look like it comes from a horror movie was what I was aiming for
Like a
here.
parasite.
Yeah, definitely. So it's got these big sort of like hooks, just like the Abyssal Demons have essentially got these one claw on either arm, but it's kind of like, because it's a lot larger, we can explore more interesting details and sort of flesh them out a bit more. You can also see the four legs and things like that, and the colour scheme's the same too.
Right.
I'm trying to guess what I did with the video here, just kind of like continue talking. I think, so you can see there's some really good sort of like pivot points that I've been able to make on this model. So when it does actually come to be animated, it'll be sort of very very nimble, and it'll have a lot of range of movement, so it won't move really awkwardly and sort of like mechanical, like the original Abyssal Demons. So you can see at the back there as well, it's actually got giant abyssal whips that come out of its spine. So the abyssal whip's essentially a spine for an abyssal demon. So I thought if this thing's actually got a split at the top of its spine, it's actually got 2 independent whips, which will be able to attack you independently or do a powerful attack both at the same time, much like its claws.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So as well as that...
Yeah, I know.
Sorry. I shouldn't just say yes, should I? I should say thank you very much, Chris. That's very kind of you to say. You can also see that the claws can be manipulated for some much smoother and more interesting animations. I think I'll do the big reveal at some point, but I don't want to spoil it until it happens. It's basically got something very cool inside of it. Anytime now, come on. Oh yeah, here we go. So it started animating now. You can see like the whips have lots of transforms in them and everything. So we can get some really, really nice, elegant movement out of them. And it can really sort of like be very animated and sort of like dramatic with its movement. So you get this real sort of sense of power and scale behind it as well. You can also see that's the tiles. When I'd say things like 5 by 5, you can see there's 5 tiles by 5 tiles. That is technically the same size as Zulrah, and I've done the same thing here. So
really?
Yeah, Zulrah's like a 5 by 5, but it occupies the squares in the middle, and the tail can move in this sort of like outer perimeter, much like those whips. And there we go, the big reveal. I was talking over it. So this thing's got an Abyssal Portal inside of it, and that you can summon things from the abyss basically, which will come to attack you mid-fight as well. So that Abyssal Portal, if James, have you got the image of the Abyssal Portal?
Yes.
In case people just aren't familiar with it. There we go, great. So it's essentially the same model. I've just taken it and shrunk it down, and it will animate and stuff exactly like the Abyssal Portal.
That's the best comment in the chat. Gross.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's designed to be as gross as possible. You can close that image now, James. That's fine. Oh, you can keep the video going. Yeah, it's fine. Keep the video.
It's going to go from the start, so...
Oh, no. Can you not sort of
Somebody
run
didn't
it
have the
through?
right button clicks, did they?
About there.
A bit further.
I think you want to go about 2/3 in. There we go.
There we go.
Cool. Right, let's just hope it's just like there is more to actually talk about and I haven't just overshot here. Yeah, you can also see at the back there's like an air hole that's going to sort of close and open, and depending...
And what is it for?
It's just purely for aesthetics. I just thought it'd be disgusting if this thing actually like breathes. And also there's going to be these things called Abyssal Spawn, which I think you'll see at the end of this video as well, which are almost like a fetus form of Abyssal Demons. You'll see the head lift up and it'll actually crawl out of that throat hole and climb down the front of the body and onto the floor. So that'll just be a nice little addition there. You can see it opening and closing just there, just like the top of a larynx that you get on a mammal. Yeah, but it's basically designed to be as disgusting as possible, and its lair will also be equally as disgusting, with pustules and whatnot exploding and letting off nasty gases. So this thing, I essentially took the top of an Abyssal Demon model just to make sure it's sort of true to form as opposed to just going off on a tangent. So you can see it's just had a slight recolour there and a tail added to it, like a lava or something like that. So yeah, I think we're coming to the end of that video now, aren't we? Yeah, it looks like that's just about the last thing to show.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool. So that's him.
That was really cool. I love the story
very
behind
good.
Thank
it.
you very much.
Very good.
Thank
Very
you.
well done. You really don't get to hear anything like that. It's just kind of like, here's a boss, go kill it.
I
This is
think when
lot more in
Ash
depth.
did like all the lore for Zulrah and Zalandra and stuff, it kind of set a precedent in my mind that it's definitely nice to flesh out the lore behind these bosses.
Also, when we put the corp in a cave and people said, "Where's the lore? Why is there a big corp in this cave?" We hadn't really given them an answer. So since then we try to flesh out these things a little more.
I think it just makes any content seem better if there's a reason why it's there. There's a reason to do it. It just makes sense in people's minds, you know. It's kind of like having a piece of content just appear on the map which doesn't fit there, just makes everybody feel awkward when they walk past it.
I think as well it's nice to have a bit of a drum roll before a big reveal, isn't it? So sort of working way through Zalandra and learning the lore and speaking to NPCs and sort of the adventure of actually travelling there just seemed like a bit more of a full piece of content as opposed to, oh, here's an NPC, find it.
It wasn't just an excuse to write some gnome child dialogue that's truly stomach churning.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a lot of clapping in the chat.
It'd be interesting actually to see how many people have read gone and investigated the lore behind Zalandra and Zulrah. So if you have, and you know the lore behind it, and you've spoken to the NPCs, press 1. If you haven't, press 2. And we will see. It'll be interesting to see how many people actually have done
Do
it.
something like the drop. We'll just test their old school knowledge.
Yeah, should do, shouldn't we?
Cool.
Well, we're going to look very silly now if everyone presses 2. What have you done?
All right.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Oh, no, it's
I
press-
press nothing. Oh, there's a few ones. There you go.
Yeah, 1s and 2s.
3.
Yeah, so I'm sure they've probably done both. They've looked at it and forgotten it again. Yeah, so not as many as haven't by the looks of it.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing about it. You don't have to do it in order to fight the boss, but it's there if you want to. If you want it.
If you haven't, you should, because it will. Yeah,
So in your
great.
wasp name.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Cool. Should we carry on? All right. Let's go to this one from Cleany, who asks, can you go a bit more in depth at all on how Mod Maz is updating the Duel Arena? So, a couple new questions in the poll today actually about that. Anyone care to take us through that question?
If I may.
Yeah.
So, Duel Arena. Quite a lot of people have commented over the time we've been running Old School that, if the opponent changes the options just as you're clicking accept, sometimes it gets you through and you don't realise what you've accepted. And on the second screen, there's not a huge amount of detail about what options have been chosen, which isn't really good enough. So Maz is going to rip out the Duel Arena and fix these problems. She's doing quite a heavy job of it, based on some code I wrote in 2012 to the Duel Arena. Reason being, the way the Duel Arena is currently structured, as it was back from 2004, is each player has something on them remembering their opponent. Trouble is, there were lots of bugs in, up to 2012, where players would have these variables messed up, so I might think he was my opponent. Oh, there's a dog in this house.
Oh.
Yep, I might think he's my opponent, but he thinks that Gareth is his opponent, and the whole thing gets really confused. Especially when you don't have the two players pointing at each other, there's no idea of which one's right about what's going on. So, yep, lovely.
Oh, I wonder if she'll come and make an appearance.
Oh, she's moving.
As you're saying, Ash?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
RuneScape.
So we all got distracted by dog.
Dogs are cool. So, what I did in 2012 was come up with this new design where instead of each player remembering their opponent, they each remember this kind of AI unit that was controlling their duel. So, I'd point at the controller and it would point back at me, and it would remember who my opponent was meant to be, and Matt would point back at it. And that way, if either of us was out of sync, the controller knew who was right and who was wrong. And it became a lot easier to fix Duel Arena bugs after that. So Maz is going to try and do all that to our Duel Arena.
It's a big job.
Yeah, it is. But hopefully we'll be a lot safer from bugs thereafter. And we'll also fix the problem with the interface that the players have brought to us. And while we're about it, she can offer these extra features that we're running in the poll at the moment, which I think are all passing. In particular, you'll be able to send challenges from a bigger area, so when you teleport to it, you don't have to walk so far to be able to send a challenge. Might be handy if you just want to recharge your stats or something. And also an extra button or two to remember your favourite options and bring them back with one click, or replay the last duel with one click, that kind of thing.
Cool. A lot of good stuff coming to the Duel Arena.
So we're very grateful to Mod Maz for sparing us a bit of her time to come and do all this.
Indeed.
In fact, if you want to say thank you to Mod Maz, is it at JXMaz?
I think
her
so,
Twitter
yeah.
I think so.
account? Go ahead and tweet her and say thanks. She's
Yep.
helping out the Duel Arena a lot.
And that's why we have a little squirrel on the stream to represent her.
All right.
Indeed, yeah.
So next question, should have asked this just before.
I think we just lost everybody because we're still talking about the dog.
Before the Abyssal Demon. This one's from Tristan, but I'll ask actually one that was appearing in the chat immediately after the presentation there. Can we go at all into detail what level this thing's going to be, where it's going to be?
I think we can say it's at least going to be the same level as an Abyssal Demon, and I can't really say if it's going to be much higher than that, because I
Right.
just don't know. There's a long time until this content comes out in September, so that a lot can change in that time, even if I did know the answer now, it could possibly be subject to change.
It's a valid
So-
point.
It's a very long way of saying no, isn't it, basically?
Although
It's the honest truth, that's all right.
John's got a humongous Slayer Dev blog coming out very soon.
It's Friday, I think.
It's a really big blog.
Yeah.
He said the scroll bar on his screen was about this big when he'd written it.
Oh, good God.
Lots of content.
Going to release it as an ebook.
And Matt said she proofread it for him, which is very nice of her.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Next question. This one's from Feeling Feels, who asks, why can't Ironman take part in Slayer Partners? Could this be pulled? As it really doesn't offer any advantage, really. People just kind of feeling left out.
Bum, 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 bum. I go kill something with somebody else.
We can put it to the community.
I think that's about it, really. I do worry that it creates a grey line because we've been very definite about you're doing it on your own. We're not allowing that interaction, although technically there's no advantage for it.
Yeah.
I'm worried if we start making sort of a grey line between what is, them doing it on themselves and them doing it with other people, then we start blurring other things. It makes it a bit more complicated going forward.
I think if we straw polled, it would not pass.
No, it doesn't look that way, does it? There we go.
There's a lot of pride involved in Ironman saying we stand alone. We don't want any help, even if it doesn't actually help us. We don't want it.
I think
Well, that's the thing, it
Ironman
might help them. That's in some way, like having another person there to distract the other NPCs in the room would be advantageous.
Valid point. Okay, cool. All right, Hall asks, will Old School be having any player visits in the near future?
Not planning to. But what? No, they're not playing visits, are they? No.
It's tempting to, I don't know, do one of these from a player's house though. Like, the idea of
Do you
us
wanna
rocking
host-
up at your door.
Do you want to host the next Q&A?
Yeah,
For
that'd
the
be
application.
amazing.
That would be really cool.
At
That'd be a
JX Mac
prize,
K.
wouldn't it? Depends who we get, of course.
Well, that could go horribly wrong.
Is it a good prize or a bad prize if you get us lot sat on your sofa talking? And not talking to you either.
Yeah, that'd be quite entertaining.
Okay, moving on. Dave asks, could you add a shortcut into the Karazi jungle via the diary rewards? It's a pain having to chop through with a machete for clues.
Yeah, it is rather. It's a bit of a pain mapping around there, but I would like to do a shortcut there, and also I'd also like to improve the Calfight one, because it cuts off some of the journey to the Calfight there, but not very much.
Okay, awesome.
So those are my wish list for shortcuts.
Good question.
Oh, I was going to say as well, I forgot, the Abyssal Dagger will be a reward on the Abyssal boss as well, because I noticed
Okay.
a few people mentioned that in chat, so we are definitely still using that as the high-end reward.
Awesome. Alf will be happy. So Lucy asks, what are your thoughts on a pet protector? Similar to the clue box from Bounty Hunter Rewards Shop. If you died with your pet in the wilderness, this protector box thing would protect it.
Given that we have an insurance feature,
Yeah,
I wouldn't have thought it was that necessary.
insurance is expensive.
Yes.
That's that.
Yeah,
If you want to
It's meant
protect
to
your
be, I
pet, you
think.
got to pay the price.
yeah, absolutely.
All right. Hacking.
Sorry, Chris. People are going Abyssal Dagger question mark. The whole idea that I thought of using the Abyssal Dagger is this thing's grotesque. The only bit of goodness or use that's found in it is about this big.
Yeah.
So that's the example.
So
I'll give
just
there.
to recap the Abyssal Dagger, if you haven't heard of it.
Oh yeah, the Abyssal Dagger was modelled by. You're right there.
No.
No. Right. Okay.
Do carry on.
Watch the stream back. You'll get it.
we
No,
both missed something
I
here.
just got it. It's fine. But I'll soldier on anyway.
Nothing happened.
Nothing to see here.
Alfred modelled the Abyssal Dagger on stream a while back. Are there images that people can find of it, or you still
Probably
still
are
having
somewhere.
difficulty
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
There's
there probably are
probably a
somewhere.
picture somewhere. We'll show you a picture at some point, or I can tweet one tonight just so you know exactly what it looks
The
like.
Abyssal Dagger, yeah.
Yeah, of the Abyssal Dagger. Let's move on.
Okay, wow. I get the reference. I thought we were better than this.
I
No.
did too, Chris. I know.
What makes you think that?
All right. Cool. So Tim asks the next question. He says, can Bob Barter have the ability to decant potions in 1, 2, and 3 dose potions as well? They can be useful for certain situations, of course.
That is possible. When we first started writing that kind of thing, we didn't really have a grand exchange price for vials, so we couldn't do any decanting that involved the NPC supplying the vials for a cost. But we now could. It's a right pain writing that kind of thing, though. I'll do it, but it's going to take ages.
Yeah, I remember the issues you had last time when we did it. Say issues, the
We
time it
haven't done
took.
Oh,
when
that.
we did the other decanting stuff.
Yeah, that wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is from Marfel, who asks, can we have the ability to examine clues to see what step we're on? Not how many steps are left, obviously, just what step they're on currently, if they have a bad memory.
You mean how many steps they've done so far?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
Not necessarily from examining the clue, but we could put it somewhere on there.
Okay. Cool. Fair enough. You seem pretty for that idea. Samuelus asks, will we ever have the ability to post links like Imgur, Reddit, YouTube, etc. in-game?
We're not big on players sending each other links to what might turn out to be anything.
Right.
Creates a whole different issue of moderation as well.
We have to have
So you
approved
have to
sites,
look
of course,
have
but
to have a look at links.
if like, to be honest, that doesn't sound like RuneScape to me. That sounds like a different game.
Yeah. I sit there and I look at the way that the reason why we don't do it is to block people putting other links out there. So there's nothing stopping you typing in a link to Imager and sending that link out. But what's the reason why all the filters are in there is to stop people typing in links to dangerous websites we don't want people to go to.
Right.
And I mean, you guys will know that if you stand there and you look at you stand in an underground exchange, there's all sorts of bad people doing really creative things to get links across. So it's a constant battle. So if we were to allow it for one site, I'll guarantee that'll get abused in minutes. People will just link to look at this, and it'll just have a big picture of their website, and see that
Fair point.
going badly.
We're losing battery.
Yeah.
No, we've got to rush this.
Hang on,
All right.
hang on. I'll be back. I've got to sort out battery for thingy. I'll be back.
Okay.
You have some room now as well.
So we're taking a 30-second breather. Ash and Gareth can take this one then. Neko asks, he's got an idea here he's presenting. This is actually a mix between, between two questions I've merged here.
What are we talking about?
Hang on.
You just finally breathe again.
So Neko asks, can ashes from firelighters be used to make potions that, when consumed, make monsters around you aggressive for a period of time?
It can be tricky implementing that potion,
I think
but having a use for the ashes is entirely feasible. We could even make it so that the ashes are dropped to the person who lit the fire first of all, rather than anyone else having free-for-all at it.
that would be a pain. You'd have to find somewhere very quiet to light those fires, yeah.
Indeed, so we'd probably want to make sure that whoever lit the fire gets first dibs on the special blue ash or whatever it is you're asking for.
What are your thoughts on a potion allowing monsters to go re-aggressive, though?
I don't know how I'd go about implementing that, to be honest.
It's not even sure it's possible.
I think we'd find it kind of awkward, especially if there's two people in an area who've both drunk the potion. I'd end up, anything I'd write for that's trying to find all the monsters periodically and bring them at you, they'd be going around in circles.
Okay, could definitely be some complicated issues there. Interesting idea, but yeah, also the chat was not quite as for that idea. Thinking,
Have we got a picture of the Abyssal Dagger there, did I just see? Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yay.
There you go, that's the Abyssal Dagger. It's got a gap on the handpiece, obviously, because we cut a little bit out for your hand to go because of render order things with the engine, but obviously your hand will be there, so you won't see that. But yeah, that's the Abyssal Dagger. Thanks to Alfred for making that. He'll be back shortly, hopefully to make more great stuff. Very cool.
Awesome. All right. So let's go to the next question then from Chaotic, who asks, like Barbarian Assault, could the fishing trawler deposit box be replaced with a bank chest?
Yeah, easy enough.
This seems like it would happen basically anywhere that has a bank chest.
Anyway, it has a... Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. Or sorry, a deposit box. All right, that answers that. Another question from Chaotic, who asks, can we have the Wilderness Volcano that it used to be, basically, before Bounty Hunter was removed? What year was this, 2000?
I tried to get a dog. She didn't want to come. She said no. She sat just over there and refused to move past the camera. So sorry, I tried.
Next stream.
What was the question?
Right, so remember the old Bounty Hunter, the Craters, which was then removed and then replaced with monsters. He's asking if we can have something similar to that. Would it have like hellhounds and greater demons and just evil monsters in a cave in the wilderness?
Mapping a cave in the wilderness is easy. I'd be hesitant about touching the surface of the wilderness just because this being the old school game, people know their wilderness. And when we started, carving out what great big chunks of it to put mini games in, it was not a popular move. A cave under the wilderness got no problem with that at all, other than that it creates more space in the wilderness to spread the PKing out over.
Right.
So that comes with a bit of a drawback.
You've got room, all right?
Like
I have got room, I'm fine, really. It's okay. It's all right. I appreciate everyone's concern, though. I feel quite touched, actually, in many ways.
So
All right,
been
so
doing?
we're carrying on with the Q&A now.
Good idea.
All right. Juliet asks, when are we likely to see the new Grand Exchange slots in-game?
Okay, now this isn't just something Old School's doing. RS3 is looking at having these slots as well, which means we've got to synchronise with them. So I think it's really going to be when they can get their side done and we can get our side done. We'll launch it when we can. Bear in mind, at the moment I've got a lot of work to do on the resizable mode, and I'm going to have to change our Grand Exchange interfaces to add the extra slots to the sides. It's not going to be a very quick job. To be honest, we don't know. It'll come when it can.
Yeah.
You'll definitely be updated when it's possible, probably through Twitter first.
It's the kind of thing where if I'd done it, I'd tweet it.
Yeah, definitely.
Most things are. Except this week, I've kind of lost access to Twitter for a few days. I'll hopefully be back on soon.
All right. Next question's from Two Guys, who asks, with Mod Alfred joining the team soon, does that mean we'll see new items added to the game faster than they were previously? He's requesting specifically the Dagenhai robes, so I think he's just asking for just those robes, but the general question, what does this mean, having another graphics artist?
It means you have twice the graphical power, really.
Pretty
You
much,
get twice as much done.
I mean, the wonderful thing about having both Alfred and yourself is they're two very different artists, which gives us much more scope as well in what we can do. So, I mean, Gareth is wonderful at the animation and creating the modelling, you know, the stuff he makes brilliant. And Alfred is a very good fine artist, so we get that extra bonus as well. So they're very complementary when it comes to each other, and we can, you know, we can produce better stuff, not necessarily more stuff, because what we produce is based on what you guys want. So it is better stuff and a bit better range of stuff.
Okay. All right, that answers that. 318 asks, can we pull to revert pest control back to the old version when it was just one boat and no portal shields?
I seem to remember that when that was in the game, there were endless complaints about PC products. So
Yes.
introducing that doesn't seem like a huge benefit. There's a reason it was taken out,
Yeah,
and it wasn't to make everyone happy. It was to try and get rid of the insane rate of XP from people who'd found a quiet world for it.
Yeah, the pest control games when it was literally hop on the boat, you're in a game, game's over, hop back on the boat,
Yeah.
there's 3k XP. Yeah, not too likely with that one. All right, Crowd asks, when will you be working on Deadman mode?
Well, hopefully we plan to have it October-ish time. Save some time before then. We'll see how we get on with this new artist, and not a artist at all, new developer, and any possible more developers after that. And
Which we would like.
yes, absolutely. So we will move on from there and see where we get to.
Right, so sometime before October then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, our players will see. I would imagine that the first time they'll be able to get their hands on it will be beginning of October. So some sort of testing thing we'll probably need to do first, but then it will be out October-ish time, I would expect.
Okay, cool. Awkward Tuna asks, could we get filters to our spell books to only show spells or teleports, or sorry, offensive spells or teleports, etc.?
Yes, we can do that. It's been on the list for a while. It's just not got to the top of the list because of all the other things people keep asking for.
Right. Again, even when we pull that, I see that being another controversial one, though it is, obviously, you don't have to use those toggles. That's just something that wasn't there in Old School, so we'll see what they think of that, as the
I'm
chat
very happy
spams
to
know.
not do it. Well, that's all right then.
That was quick. Mikey asks, can you make a higher tiered... can you make it so that higher tiered herbs can help keep your incense burners lit longer?
The reason it uses Marantil is to try and give more use for Marantil.
Oh, okay.
If we let you use some other herb, then it won't have that function anymore, which I think would be a bit of a shame. But we could do it, just there's a reason it wasn't done like that.
Makes sense. It's a pretty straightforward answer.
Because there's only so much bog basic anti-poison you're going to want in the game.
All right. The Cool Cookie asks, can the Carol's Quiff get buffed so that can be better than the snakeskin bandana?
Yeah.
We were talking about looking at potential things to do with snakeskin, so a couple things to look into there.
Well, I'd certainly be happy for Carol's to be better than the
Yeah,
snakeskin.
it makes perfect sense too, doesn't it?
It's really only a +1 range bonus, but it's just the fact that a snakeskin bandana is better than a 70 defense, 70 range weapon, or sorry, helmet thing. All right, Slaya Masters says, similar to RS3, can we have a fairy ring that can take us to Abyssal?
It's not hard to make. Actually, I think it was quite difficult when they first made it, because there was a bug where if you went through it, then your monkey got its shape totally deformed. Turned out there was some code lying around for people leaving Zenaris in case they'd been transmogrified into a pig or chicken or whatever happens in there. And it was interfering with the monkey code. But yeah, we can do that without that problem.
Okay, cool. Right, this one's from Lord Smoke. A bit of a complicated question. I'm going to do my best here. So he says, currently after the hard wilderness tasks, players have the ability to choose where the obelisks will teleport them to. This is via right click. Obviously this was changed from left click as it was pretty damn powerful. So they're asking if they can as well have a left click going back to that old randomized teleport as well. Because right now, being able to only use the right click while they're going to pick where they're going to teleport, they might get attacked. And that could interrupt the teleport. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Not quite sure what we can do there, but it should be possible. I haven't really looked at that code, I'm afraid.
All right, we'll definitely have to look into that then. Onyx asks, could there be an added bonus when wearing the entire Infinity Robe set? Says it's a shame such a beautiful piece of mage equipment doesn't get to be used.
Well, the code for item sets, like Barrow sets, is expandable for lots of more kinds of set in future, so don't see a problem with it if people want it.
Okay. See a valid concern there. Infinity is definitely the best.
It boils down
stuff.
to what they want to see, really.
Yeah. Well, it's always kind of been more cosmetic than useful, but
They seem quite up for it, so
yeah.
yeah.
They're up for something.
Everybody likes Infinity. Who doesn't like Infinity?
Absolutely.
Cool. So Swap asks, can we see an Ironman themed world? Hang on, not an Ironman world, just a themed world. So similar to like what we would do for Castle Wars world. So just saying Ironman, you can go here. You'd have a higher percentage of running into fellow Ironmen, hanging out with them. Other players could still go there, but it would just be a themed world.
Yeah, there's no reason why not.
Yeah,
That sounds good.
Spare worlds, don't we? Yeah.
that might be a good one for a straw poll. Actually, been a while since we've done one of those. Would you guys like to see Ironman themed worlds? Any players could go here. It would simply be themed for Ironman to train.
Could you imagine Ironman world with Deadman mode? That'd be insane.
Yeah.
All right, cool. While we wait for that to appear in the chat with the straw poll, go to this one from Blah Blah Meow, who asks, could we get a peek in option for all bosses?
On the boss? That'd be interesting.
All bosses.
Oh, on the boss room.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't see why not, although, if you're looking in the God Wars room, makes sense because it's just there. Same for the Corp Cave, Dagonoth King's looking down the ladder. If you start peeking at the lever in the Wilderness, which takes you to KBD, I think you should only just see the lever close up.
Yeah. I get to yeah. And also, obviously, some bosses that just wouldn't apply that aren't in a room.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you peek at the Wilderness ditch, there's one Chaos Elemental and how many players somewhere out there.
I think having the ability to just tell if somebody's already fighting the monster like we're going to offer for the DKs is it's a good idea.
Where it's got a room and you can't see into the room from outside it, I do like this.
Yeah.
Maybe we could add it to the Lunar Spellbook and sort of a spell where you almost sense how many people are around specific bosses.
That's an interesting idea.
Could be fun.
Cool. All right. Nav asks, similar to the recolored teleblock message, could you recolor the message when your cannon is about to decay?
Sure, if people need it.
Yeah. All right, we've got the results back from the straw poll there. Would you like to see an Ironman themed world? Still open to all players, of course. Passing at 84%, is that?
Very obliging today, aren't they?
Impressive. It must be the environment.
I was thinking that as well.
Yeah, it's the homey feel. It's just say yes to everything. Cool. we've got time for just one more question. Jeez. Let's go ahead and ask. Yeah, this one from Mod Ash Lover, who asks, last week we discussed power creeping with tier 80 plus weapons and armors. But what about skilling? Does that have to be limited? Is there anything else we can do to offer higher tiered content for skills such as woodcutting, fire making?
I guess things to be aware of is players who have already got themselves to level 99, because obviously if you are putting higher tiered stuff in, it's going to theoretically make it quicker to get to level 99.
Right.
So there's going to be that aspect there where the players want to, what they will perceive as devaluing their 99 by making it quicker. There's also the race from 99 up to 200 million XP, because that will change. There's where the players want that to impede on that. But that's not to say we shouldn't make it more interesting at high levels.
Right.
But I think, one of the things we found out with agility arenas that we did, the rooftop agility, is when we put in the level 91, which is the best XP. It makes perfect sense to do that at level 90 you should get the best XP, but we did have some feedback saying, well, I've already got mine to 99, it's easier now, it's not fair.
Right.
And that's the one thing we've got to sort of overcome. So don't make it easier, don't make it quicker, but make it more interesting, which is a challenge in itself, I think.
We could also stand to make it maybe more rewarding. For example, the quickest XP in mining is not from mining runite at a higher level. It's from grinding over and over again in that desert, I suspect.
Right. That's a good point.
So adding more things at a high level that just aren't the best XP there's still room for them to be useful.
Right. And similar to Runite Hordes, it's not
Well,
AFK.
for that one in particular, we could add them to be almost as good XP as the best XP and rewarding, and people can balance that off amongst themselves. They want to not get the best XP but get more money from it, and or vice versa. We'll just aim for the XP. So
Seeing a lot of people say Ivy. I don't know if you'd like to see that. I'm going to say no,
Yeah,
but they're
I don't
just
think
saying
we'll-
it.
yeah,
And we'll leave it at
it's 3
that.
letters, easy to spell.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we're pretty much come to an end here with the Q&A.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah? Anything you guys want to say?
Where should we go next time?
That's a good question. I was thinking Ronan's place.
That would be awesome, especially if he's not in the country.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So
Where would you like us to go next time? That's the thing. We might not necessarily do it next week, but I think next week we're going to go somewhere else. I think we've had a lot of fun, haven't we? And you guys seem to have enjoyed it as well. And I'm sure you've liked looking at my curtains, which were $9.99 from Dunelm's. They come lined and everything.
Making it challenging.
Yeah.
What are we turning this
Yeah.
into?
And we need to give obviously Simon and James a bit of a well done for making this
Definitely.
happen. It's not easy to do a stream like this outside
Let's
of the
get
office.
some Kappa claps for Simon and James.
Yes, absolutely. Well done, guys.
Done very well with making the stream possible.
Behind the camera every stream, they always make it work, so that's great.
Yeah.
Everyone wants Ash's house.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Interesting.
Yes. These are still bigger
Have you got a
internet.
big sofa?
I have a futon.
There we go.
Perfect.
Oh dear.
Food on
Oh
the
dear.
sofa.
Don't feed the chat.
Oh, wonderful.
Cool. So go ahead and give the stream a follow if you enjoyed. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next Thursday.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.